All right, let's be honest. We've all been there, right? You're staring at some big goal, this dream you have, a huge project, and the first thing that pops into your head is, not yet. The time isn't right. It's this super common feeling, like we're all just stuck in the waiting room of our own lives. And we tell ourselves these stories, don't we? That we're just, waiting for that perfect moment, for the stars to align perfectly in the sky, or maybe just for a sign, any sign. It's kind of the ultimate excuse, and it sounds so reasonable, so wise. But here's a thought. What if that sign you're waiting for is actually supposed to be your own first step?
See, that's the trap right there. This whole not yet mindset, it's not just hitting pause for a second. It's full-on paralysis. It literally makes us miss the very opportunities we say we're waiting for. Because let's face it, big opportunities rarely show up with a flashy neon sign. They're usually disguised as hard work, or they show up at the most inconvenient time, and they're always wrapped in a whole lot of uncertainty.
So this leads us to a really radical shift in how we think about this. What if the right time isn't something you just stumble upon, but something you actually create? We're talking about flipping a switch, moving from a passive wait-and-see mindset to a truly active one. And you can see the two paths so clearly when you lay them out like this. On one side, you've got the person who waits for time. They're passive, they're reactive, they're just hoping things will change for them. But on the other side, you've got the person who makes time. They're active, proactive, they're not waiting for things to change. They're out there building the foundation to change things. It's the difference between being a spectator in your own life and being a participant. And the cool thing is, you get to choose which one you want to be.
This isn't some new age idea. There's this incredible piece of ancient wisdom that just nails it. Whoever watches the wind will not plant. Whoever looks at the clouds will not reap. Think about that for a second. A farmer who just stands there waiting for the wind to die down completely, for every single cloud to disappear, well, they're going to miss the entire planting season. The lesson is absolutely timeless. If you wait for everything to be perfect, you will never begin.
Okay, so this isn't just theory. Let's dive into some incredible case studies. We're going to look at some powerful, real examples of people who just refused to wait, people who took initiative and literally created their own right time.
So for our first story, picture this. We're at a wedding in a town called Cana, and disaster strikes. They run out of wine. This is a huge social catastrophe back then. So Mary goes to Jesus for help, and his response is crystal clear. It's not the right time. He literally says, "My hour has not yet come." So there it is. The conditions are officially, divinely, not perfect. But watch what Mary does next. Does she just accept not yet and walk away? No way. She acts. She turns to the servants and gives them this simple, powerful instruction: do whatever he tells you. This is so key. Her proactive faith, her refusal to take no for an answer, it created this environment of expectation. It basically set the stage for a miracle to happen. And the outcome? Well, her action completely moved the timeline forward. The water became wine. She didn't just sit back and wait for the appointed hour. Her faith and her action helped create the hour. It's just a brilliant illustration of how your initiative can literally change the schedule. All right, our next case study takes this idea even further. We have a woman who'd been suffering from a bleeding issue for 12 long years. Now, according to the law at the time, this made her ritually unclean. So for her, it was never the right time to be in a crowd, and it was absolutely forbidden for her to touch a rabbi. The barriers she faced were massive, societal, religious, you name it. So did she wait for a special invitation, or for the rules to magically change? Nope. She ignored the conditions. She defied the law. She pushed her way through a packed, sweaty crowd and just decided for herself, this is my moment. She took the risk and created her very own opportunity for healing. And what happens because of her audacity? Does Jesus get angry? Does he rebuke her for breaking the rules? Not at all. He actually confirms her initiative. He turns to her and says, your faith has healed you. It was her action, her bold decision to take her moment that was the key that unlocked her miracle. Now, for our final story, let's flip the script and look at a case of massive group inaction. You've got the entire army of Israel, and they are totally paralyzed by fear. They're staring down this giant, Goliath, and every single one of them is waiting for the, quote, right time to fight, which, let's be real, given how terrified they were, that time was probably never, ever gonna arrive. And then a shepherd boy named David shows up on the scene. He doesn't wait for an order from a commander. He doesn't wait for better armor. In fact, he rejects it. He doesn't wait for a few more years of combat training. He just sees what's happening, sees a just cause, and decides the right time isn't later. The right time is right now. And just like that, his initiative shatters the paralysis. He single-handedly created the moment that turned the entire tide of the battle. See, it wasn't perfect conditions that led to that victory. It was one person's decision to stop waiting and start acting. Okay, so these are amazing, timeless stories. But how does all this ancient wisdom apply to you and me today? Well, let's bring it into the modern workplace with something I like to call the promotion paradox. You've probably heard this saying a million times. Dress for the job you want, not the job you have. But it's so much deeper than just clothes, right? It's a whole philosophy. The point is, you don't wait for the new title to start acting like a leader. You start acting like a leader first, and then getting the title becomes almost inevitable. Think about it. If you wait for the job opening to pop up before you even start working on the skills, you're already way behind the curve.
And this is a perfect example of what we can call the Joseph principle. When Joseph was in prison, did he just sit in a corner and mope around waiting to be freed? Absolutely not. He started managing things. He managed the prison so well, so effectively, that they eventually put him in charge of everything there. So later, when the job opening to manage an entire kingdom came up, he wasn't just ready. He had already been doing the job at a smaller scale. He had the proof.
So, after all these stories and examples, what does this all boil down to? Well, it turns out there's actually a kind of formula for creating your own right time. And it's not magic, it's not mystical, it's a really practical combination of two key things. Okay, step one is you have to get ready. And let me be clear, this is not passive waiting, this is aggressive preparation. It's like Noah building a giant ark when there isn't a single cloud in the sky. And then there's step two. You have to just do it. That's the moment of truth. That's the audacity to take that first step, even when conditions are far from perfect. Kind of like Peter stepping out of the boat right into the middle of a storm. And here it is. This is the simple, powerful equation at the very heart of this entire discussion. Preparation plus initiative equals the right time. It's that simple. See, if you have all the preparation in the world, but you never take initiative, you're just a dreamer. And if you have all the initiative but zero preparation, well, you're just being reckless. But when you put those two together, that's when you become unstoppable. That's how you create your own perfect moment. Which, of course, brings us to the most important person in this conversation right now, and that's you. Because this isn't just about telling some cool ancient stories or talking about workplace theories. This is meant to be a direct challenge to you. So I really have to ask you, what are you waiting for? Seriously, what's that goal, that dream, that change that you keep putting on hold, telling yourself you're just waiting for a sign that, honestly, might never come? Where in your life right now are you just watching the wind instead of planting the seeds? So let's end with this thought. Maybe the right time isn't some door that's just going to magically swing open for you. Maybe it's a path that only appears once you start walking. So often, the universe or God or fate, whatever your framework is, it's simply waiting for our movement before it provides the momentum. Your first step, that is the sign you've been waiting for.